Welcome to the Simply Real Life podcast. I'm Sarah, the founder of Simply Real Health, here to help you simplify, amplify, and elevate your life. This show is for those of you who want the real talk on how to live a more intuitive and intentional life, a life that's healthy from the inside out, and one that feels more effortless, aligned, simple, and more alive. We cover it all, from health, wellness, mindset, motherhood, daily habits and rituals, to business and relationships, creativity and growth, and tiny tricks to feeling your best, and the energetics behind it all filled with personal stories, unfiltered conversations, and of course, answering all of your burning questions, all in the way of simplicity and keeping it real, so that you can create your own version of your healthiest life. Let's do it. Hi guys, welcome back to the show today. I hope you are having a great week, no matter what you're doing, where you're at right now. We have a great question that I can't wait to dive into this week. And it's one that I feel like I personally also wonder this question. So in answering this, I would also love to know what ideas you all might have in different tricks that you use, different hacks that you've tried. I think it's something that most of us could probably use a little help in. And here's the question. It says, how do you get rid of stuff that is no longer serving you? And while I feel like I am not an expert by any means in this arena, it is something that I personally am really working on, like just a constant work in progress. And I think especially so the last couple of years after having kids, especially so, there's just such an uptick of things that come into your house, like things that get given to you, things that, I don't know, they create or that they make at school. There is just an influx of stuff. And it does require a lot of intention. It does require some organization. It does require some thought behind it. Otherwise, you can end up feeling like you are drowning in stuff. And that's never a good feeling, especially if you are a mom and you already are overstimulated and there's already so much to clean and pick up at the end of every day. So I think this conversation is so worth having, especially in this community where we talk so much about living a more intentional life and living a more simplified life. We talk about that with our food. We talk about that with our mindset. We talk about that with our habits, with the way we walk through every day. And I think it also really pertains to our environment and what we surround ourselves with, particularly at home, like making home a more peaceful, calm space. And that is almost a laughable thing sometimes, especially over here where I have 3 young kids that are at home a majority of the time. And again, this is something I am just learning as I go. So I welcome any and all feedback, tips, ideas that you might have, but I'll just share some things that have been really helpful for us in that goal of trying to maintain a more simplified, calm, peaceful house and not get overwhelmed by stuff and things and clutter. It just makes it extra chaotic in an already sort of chaotic season of life. So here's something that has really helped in this process is one that I have a Goodwill box going every day. It's in my office, and that every single week I go through and just try to clean out one area. So this takes, like 20 minutes. It's something I can do when the kids are around. It's this constant, in my mind, I'm like, if I do this enough, eventually I'll hit all the areas of the house, and then I'll have to start over and just keep going through. But to me, that feels so much more manageable than going through and taking an entire weekend. So I am constantly looking at stuff, constantly evaluating, have we used this? Is this something that is been forgotten about? Is this something that's helpful in some way or making our life better? Or is it just more stuff or clutter or something that we used in the past that's no longer maybe relevant to the season of life we're in or the types of things that we need around? It is funny how much stuff that there is that could be better used in other people's lives or that they're looking for something exactly like that. Things are changing so much, especially with young kids, of what they're into, or even in like the context of in my own office, I have stuff in my office that I probably don't need. And that's a journey that I oftentimes have to walk myself through, like the mental logistics. But I find that if I can just not overthink and make quick decisions of like, yes, no, without the emotion tied to it, that really helps. So areas like the kitchen junk drawer, I think going through a couple of cabinets in my kitchen, there's sometimes stuff in there, again, that have been gifted or given to me or that we've just had for a long time, but we never use, like something like a juicer. Like, I think we got that as a wedding present. And the other day, I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I've kept it because it's this nice appliance and because I maybe feel bad giving it away. But like, you know what? I've used that maybe 2 times. So you give to somebody else that could use those beautiful things that maybe you're just not getting a lot of use out of. And it's just taking up space and taking up mental capacity in your life. I feel like I have to do this every week in like kids' toy corner. We are pretty minimal with toys. And in fact, before Rosie was born, so when I just had 2 kids, that summer before she was born, when I was very pregnant, I gave ourselves a gift of having a professional organizer come in and streamline everything, like really go through every single toy, every single thing that we had accumulated. And it was so helpful, not even for what we did to just have so much less, but rethinking, okay, where do these toys go? Some of them are much better in basement toys sections. And some of them, a few of them, we have like 3 main categories of things that are up on the main level, and they each have a place and they each have a bucket. And it has simplified the process of cleaning up and getting them involved. They have places to put things, but really we got rid of so much stuff. And I'm not kidding, like we're not big buyers of toys at all, but all of the stuff that has been gifted for birthdays and from grandparents and things that just come into the house. So when I look back on that, I'm like, that was more than a year ago. And I still think that was one of the best investments I've ever made. And it was this woman who just came in and spent a couple hours. It's almost like you're paying for your own babysitter to sit there and really make you stick with that task. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes this is why I have to do this in small amounts, is if I try and sit down and do this in a big way, it's halfway through, my attention span gets lost or I get distracted putting something else away, and then I start a different task, and it never felt like it could be complete. And so she helped us minimize stuff and then also create some systems, whether that's boxes or buckets, or it's an art closet that has dividers and places for things to go. That has been so helpful. And that's the thing that I could see doing a refresh on as my kids go through different seasons of what they're using. So right now in our main area of our house, we basically have Legos, magnet tiles, and blocks and books. Like those are the 4 things that are out. And this changes. My 3-year-old is very much in the bag phase. Lots of little backpacks and purses and bags. There's a million little things in there that she collects and she packs and she unpacks it, and it gets all over the house. Oh, and dress up stuff for her. We have an art closet that has scissors and glue and construction paper and markers that they can access, and board games and cards. And like, that's what they're using most of the time when they're home. So that's with kids stuff. If you have a family, it's huge. The amount of stuff that is for them or comes from them or is given to them is massive. And it does require, I think, being very intentional and on top of what you've got and what you are accumulating. When it comes to other stuff, this is something that I am absolutely working on in other areas of the house. And particularly, I think when it comes to items like clothing or things in my closet, I feel like the older I get, the more I fully understand the colors that look good on me, the styles, the cuts. But I do have a lot in there right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I do have a lot of stuff in there because there is just a lot of change between having 3 kids somewhat back to back and needing things that worked for pregnancy, needing things that work for nursing right now, needing things that work for the postpartum version of my body, and not being ready to part with some things. I need to almost reevaluate those things once I get to the place, a little bit further out where it's like 18 months or when my baby's 2 and I'm fully back in my body and not nursing anymore. Then being able to look at things with a fresh set of eyes. I think there probably will be a massive clean out and reduction of things. But right now, this just feels like something that not a lot of moms talk about, but it's not the sizes of the clothes. It's not that different for me, but the functionality is different. I need a lot of sweatshirts right now because everything gets dirty. Whatever I'm wearing in the morning between runny noses or peanut butter hands or butter on the fingers from the eggs that we're cooking in the morning, whatever it may be, it's like I have this collection of stuff where that I don't really care about it that much. And I feel like I can just fully be in my mom era and not have to worry about, oh no, I'm wearing this really nice white sweatshirt. And there's a few more things like that where I feel like after I'm done in this phase, I will probably be moving all of those things along and able to streamline things a little bit more. But yeah, my closet is that. And I also love clothes. I love style. You know this if you follow me, because I love sharing like roundups and things I'm finding. I just find it so inspiring just thinking about how you put together your vibe for the day, and the stuff we wear really affects how we show up and how we feel, and just feeling really good in your body. It's such an important thing to have things that fit you and that you feel great in. And I think sometimes there's an extra layer here for most women of hanging on to stuff because it represents a past version of themselves. And so that's something I do think about a lot. I'm like, am I holding on to this because it's a memory, or it's this past version of myself where I remember, like shooting the cookbook cover in this shirt. But when I look at that shirt now, I'm like, I don't know if I'd really reach for it right now. So a lot of it is just having honest conversations with yourself. Like, what does this thing represent to me? My desire is to be a minimalist, but I know I never will be, but to look at everything I own and be like, yes, I love that. It makes me feel good. It feels good on my body. The texture, the fabric, slowly upgrading the quality of what I am buying over time and getting rid of some of the stuff like from my 20s that were maybe like trendy short-term things. So this also relates to thinking about how things are coming into your life too, like how you make the decision on whether to include something new into your house. That theory, like if you're bringing something in, then something like that must also go, so that you're not just accumulating and collecting so much stuff and we don't have a need for all of that stuff. It just really can weigh down a lot on your mental capacity and your mental load at taking care of so much stuff. So I feel like in the last 2 years, I really have been on this mission of I want to simplify, I want to get rid of a lot of things and just go for higher quality versions of things that I love, things that can last. Like it's so much more about longevity and quality. And I think about that with my friendships. I think about that with food. I think about that working out. Like, is this about longevity and quality and strength and a good quality of life? Or is this something that's a quick dopamine hit? And so I really do have to check myself a lot on that. And I know it's also what you're surrounded by, like if you're following all these people on social media and every week there's brand new outfits and brand new things, and that is going to affect your mentality, always thinking that you need to have something new or craving that sense of numbing or thinking that dopamine hit of having something new, the excitement that it brings, and then it always wears off after that. So that's something I'm personally aware of and working on. I saw this hilarious video that was like, you don't need one more thing. Put the stuff in your Amazon cart back, or at least sleep on it. Make yourself wait for 2 or 3 days before you order something new, whether that's something for around the house or it's a clothing item or whatever it may be. Actually make yourself wait. We're so used to click, put it in the cart, just immediate gratification. It's something to note for yourself of like, do you do that when you're stressed out? Do you do that when you're numbing out, scrolling? Do you feel like you have good boundaries in place around that and good stopgap questions to ask yourself of like, do I actually need that? Do I have something like that? How is this going to make my life better or different? This video, it was saying like, before you're adding stuff to your cart, why don't you go clean your car? Go do something that's actually going to take care of the stuff that you have and clean it out instead of adding more stuff. And it's just funny, but I should find it and try to repost it. She was just like, you don't need more stuff. Go clean your car. Go clean the kitchen, go take out the garbage, go clean out your closet. Don't go buying new stuff. You need something to do, go clean your car. I've been thinking about that lately and it just makes me laugh because gosh, isn't that so true? Oh, it's so true. And I think those are all questions worth asking and double checking for ourselves rather than just being swept up in consuming more, without being aware that it may be pointing to something else in our life. Another great question I ask sometimes when I'm looking around stuff in the house or stuff in my closet or whatever it may be is, does this align with the future version of myself? Like with where I am going, with the woman that I'm becoming? Or is this a past version of myself that I can be okay letting go because I'm holding this vision for the future and what she does, what she wears? I just think it's being more intentional about whatever you are doing and consuming, and intentional about constantly refining and simplifying. I mean, honestly, that goes with so many areas of food, like constantly refining, simplifying your food, your daily schedule, your calendar, like the activities that you commit to, like everything that we say yes to is adding to some sort of mental burden that we are carrying. So making sure when you are saying yes to something, that you're also doing the work beneath the scenes of freeing up some of that space and energy too. These are all things I am nowhere near perfect on. There are things I work on actively every day and every week, like checking myself and really wanting to continue growing in this area a little bit more. And I think there's probably so many different ways you can approach this and do this, and you just have to find ways and tips and tricks that work for you. For me, it's trying to break it down into smaller, doable chunks so that I'll actually do it. And having really good pause questions for myself before just immediately buying something or immediately consuming something or bringing something into my house. So again, I would love to hear all your thoughts, your comments, things you do, things you find super helpful, ways you think about stuff that's no longer serving you in your life. And I think that'd be a great conversation to have. So I hope this was helpful in some way. Thank you guys for being here, for listening, for showing up, for leaving a review, for sharing a comment. It all adds up and makes such a difference. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you back here next week.
If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the Simply Real Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share it with a friend or two. That would mean the world.